Our wedding venue contacted us 5 weeks before the ceremony saying another pair reserved it earlier, and they were keeping our $12,500 deposit. Later I found out that other pair was the owner's niece. I always thought planning a wedding would be stressful, but nothing prepared me for what actually happened. My fiancé and I had booked our dream venue almost a year in advance. It was a beautiful old estate with gardens, fountains, everything. We paid a $12,500 deposit, painful, but worth it. For months, everything seemed perfect. Then, 5 weeks before the wedding, I got a call from the venue. The manager sounded uncomfortable, like he didn't want to speak. He said, "I'm sorry, but there's been a scheduling conflict. Another couple actually reserved the date before you, and we can't host your event. And per policy, the deposit is non-refundable." I felt my stomach drop. A scheduling conflict? After nearly a year? And they wanted to keep $12,500? My fiancé immediately called back demanding answers, but the venue simply repeated. Another couple booked first. No explanation. No sympathy. No alternatives. We were devastated, but also suspicious. So I dug deeper. I checked the venue's social media, tagged posts, everything. And after hours of scrolling, I found a photo posted just a week earlier, a young woman standing in the exact ballroom we had booked, with the caption, "Can't wait to get married here." Auntie made sure we got the date we wanted. 2 hearts. Auntie. The owner of the venue. The other couple. Wasn't a couple who booked before us. It was the owner's niece, and they had kicked us out of our date to give it to her. I confronted the venue with screenshots. At first they denied it. Then they said they didn't want family drama online. Suddenly their non-refundable deposit became refundable, as a gesture of goodwill. Not only did we get the entire $12,500 back, they added an extra refund to avoid a lawsuit. We ended up finding another venue, smaller, but with honest people, and had a beautiful wedding. And the best part? 2 weeks before the niece's wedding, I got an email from a staff member who had secretly sympathized with us. The niece had demanded last-minute changes, fought with staff, and created chaos. She ended up canceling part of her reception because things weren't aesthetic enough. Karma arrived right on schedule. After everything that happened with the venue owner's niece, I honestly thought the drama was finally behind us. We had our refund, we had our new location, and we were determined to just move on with our lives. But life has a funny way of proving that some people simply don't know when to stop. A week after we secured our new venue, I received a message from a random number. At first I ignored it, wedding spam, maybe wrong number. But then another message came through, this time saying my name and accusing me of ruining someone's special day. I just stared at my phone thinking, you've got to be kidding me. Turns out, the niece had found out that we had confronted the venue with screenshots, and she somehow twisted the story into us trying to sabotage her wedding. According to her, we were jealous, immature, and unprofessional. I wanted to laugh because the mental gymnastics were impressive, but I also knew that engaging would only pour gasoline on the fire. So I blocked the number. Problem solved, or so I thought. 2 days later, I received an email, not from her, but from the venue owner herself. She wrote an essay-length message accusing us of creating unnecessary complications, claiming her staff was emotionally affected, and even hinting that we caused defamation by telling people what actually happened. She ended the email with a bizarre, passive-aggressive line. I hope you find peace with your new wedding location. Peace? I wasn't even angry anymore. I just wanted to get married without rich family drama. My fiancé, on the other hand, was furious. He drafted a response so sharp it could slice through steel, but I convinced him not to send it. These people were not worth our time, or our stress. But it didn't end there. The universe, apparently bored, decided to hand us front row seats to more chaos. Our new venue coordinator, an absolute angel, called me one morning and asked, Did you know someone contacted us pretending to be you and tried to confirm that you were canceling your booking? My heart stopped. Someone actually tried to sabotage our second venue. And it wasn't hard to guess who. The niece. Or the aunt. Or both, tag-teaming delusion like it was a family sport. Thankfully, the coordinator knew it wasn't me because the caller didn't even know my fiancé's full name. The best part? The coordinator had recorded the call for training purposes and recognized the voice because she used to work at our original venue. That's right, the events industry is small. She told us the owner had a reputation for pulling strings for relatives, bending rules, and even double booking prime dates if a family member wanted them. Suddenly everything made sense. Despite all this, we pushed forward. We finalized decor, tastings, music. We were determined to enjoy our wedding. And honestly, the closer the day got, the more excited I became. But life wasn't done throwing plot twists. 1 week before our wedding, as we were doing a final walkthrough at the new venue, guess who showed up? The niece. She didn't come alone, she brought her mother, 2 friends, and the kind of entitled energy you could feel from across the parking lot. She marched straight toward us like she was in a reality show and someone had whispered, "This is your dramatic entrance." Without even saying hello, she demanded to know why we went after her family, and insisted that we should publicly apologize for embarrassing her aunt. My fiancé stepped between us before I even processed what was happening. He told her calmly, but firmly, that we had done nothing wrong, that we simply wanted the refund we deserved, and that her family's unethical behavior wasn't our problem. She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and delivered the iconic line, "You should have moved your date. Family comes first." I couldn't help but respond, "Funny. Because that's exactly what we did." Her mother tried to jump in, but the venue's security, yes, actual security, politely escorted them out. Apparently, they had already caused scenes during previous visits. When they finally left, the coordinator apologized repeatedly, but honestly, we were just relieved it happened before the wedding, not during it. And then, finally, our wedding day arrived. It was peaceful, joyful, emotional, everything the first venue never would have allowed us to have. No drama. No sabotage. No entitled relatives. Just love, our closest people, and a venue full of staff who genuinely cared. The ceremony was flawless, the reception was magical, and for the first time in months, I felt completely free of the negativity those people had dumped on us. But the final twist came weeks later. A former employee from the original venue messaged me privately. She thanked me for exposing what happened because apparently other couples had similar issues but were too intimidated to say anything. My situation pushed some staff to finally report the owner for unethical practices, and there was even talk of legal consequences. And the niece? Her wedding, the one we were kicked out for, ended in chaos. Vendors were mistreated, staff quit mid-event, and half the guests left early because of the tantrums and drama. In the end, our story wasn't just about losing a venue. It became proof that sometimes the universe removes you from situations you didn't realize were toxic, and guides you towards something much better. And the best revenge? Living well, loving fully, and having a wedding day that no entitled family could ruin. After the dust finally settled and we eased into married life, I thought all of the drama with the original venue was behind us. For a couple of blissful weeks, it honestly felt like a different lifetime. We were opening gifts, writing thank you cards, laughing at the ridiculousness of everything that had happened. But then, because apparently the universe had a subscription to our personal drama, another unexpected twist dropped right into our laps. It started with a letter. Not an email. Not a text. A physical envelope delivered to our mailbox with no return address. My first thought was that it was a belated wedding card. My second thought was that it was from someone who still believed in sending handwritten congratulations. But when I opened it, I found several printed screenshots of posts from a local wedding planning Facebook group. Someone had shared our story there, without names, but with enough detail that people immediately recognized the venue. The comments were explosive. Dozens of brides described similar situations: pushed out of dates, losing deposits, sudden family emergencies, mysterious double bookings. Some even mentioned that they suspected favoritism toward relatives but could never prove it. Reading all this felt surreal. It was like seeing a hidden world suddenly flood into the light. My husband and I realized our situation wasn't an isolated incident. It was just the first one that had gone public enough to spark conversation. But the real shock came at the bottom of the envelope. There was a handwritten note. "You were right to fight back. They need to be stopped. Don't trust the owner. She lies about everything. Even to her own family." No name. No signature. But the handwriting was shaky, rushed, like someone wrote it quickly, maybe even nervously. It gave me chills. Who sent it? A current employee? A former one? A rival? A member of the owner's own family? We had no idea. But that wasn't even the end. 2 days later, the new venue coordinator invited us to a small post-wedding event for recent couples. It was meant to be a casual, share your experience, meet other newlyweds type of thing. We decided to go. It felt safe, and honestly, we were curious to meet people who didn't come with inherited chaos attached. While we were chatting with another couple, the coordinator suddenly approached us with a strange expression on her face. She asked if she could speak with us privately. My stomach tightened. It was the same tone someone uses when they have news that is not necessarily bad, but definitely not casual. She explained that earlier that morning, the original venue's owner had called them. Not to apologize. Not to admit wrongdoing. But to demand that the new venue stop hosting our events, accusing them of stealing her clients. The coordinator told us that the owner had threatened to file complaints with the wedding association and expose them for poaching. It was laughable, especially because the original venue hadn't lost us because we switched, they forced us out. But then the coordinator said something that made us both freeze. The owner knew details about our new venue's layout. Specific ones. Details we had never mentioned online, and that were not publicly posted anywhere. The coordinator believed someone had been watching our event, or attending it. My heart skipped. Had the niece showed up? The aunt? Someone else? No one we remembered seemed suspicious, but weddings are chaotic. People come and go. It's easy to miss a face. The coordinator didn't want to alarm us, but she felt we should know. Her team noticed a woman wandering around alone near the back exit during our reception. No invitation, no explanation. When staff asked who she was, she claimed she was with the bride's side, but left quickly before they could confirm anything. We had no idea who she was, but something told me she was connected. As if that wasn't enough, a week later, a bride from the Facebook group messaged me privately. She said she had been following our story because she, too, had been forced out of a date at the same venue. But her situation was even more shocking. She wrote that the owner had told her she misremembered the date she had booked. She had proof, emails, invoices, confirmation numbers, but the owner insisted that she was wrong and their system was correct. It sounded like gaslighting taken to an Olympic level. The bride then revealed that she had hired a lawyer. That's when my husband and I realized that the shady practices weren't just unethical, they might actually be illegal. Within days, the Facebook group exploded again. More brides stepped forward. Vendors, too. Florists, photographers, DJs. Everyone had a story. Missing payments. Last-minute cancellations. Accidental overbookings. It felt like the beginning of a scandal brewing so intensely it could burn the entire business down. And that's when the biggest shock arrived, a message from someone using a throwaway account. Short. To the point. No introduction. The owner isn't worried about the brides. She's scared of what her niece might say. There's more to the story. Much more. And it involves you. My heart began pounding as I reread that message. More to the story? What else could there possibly be? What did the niece know? What did we get dragged into without even realizing? For the first time since our wedding, the hairs on my arms stood up. Something was still unfinished. And for the first time, it didn't feel like drama. It felt like danger. When I read that anonymous message, "There's more to the story. Much more. And it involves you." I felt a cold wave run down my spine. It didn't feel like gossip or drama anymore. It felt like someone warning us. My husband tried to calm me down, insisting it was probably just someone trying to stir the pot for entertainment, but deep down I knew it wasn't that simple. The wording was too deliberate. Too pointed. Someone wanted us to understand that what happened wasn't just about a wedding date or a niece getting special treatment. It was bigger. And whoever sent that message was afraid to attach their name. A couple of nights later, something strange happened. I was home alone, my husband was working late, and while I was making tea, I noticed a car parked across the street with its interior lights off. A dark SUV, tinted windows. At first I shrugged it off. Lots of neighbors had guests, and sometimes people parked nearby to scroll through their phones. But after tea, after cleaning the kitchen, after folding laundry, the car was still there. No one went in, no one came out. Just sat there. Engine off. Lights off. Completely still. The kind of stillness that feels intentional. I told myself I was overthinking. Our lives were not interesting enough for anyone to sit outside our house. But when I finally went to bed, I peeked through the blinds one more time, and the SUV's headlights suddenly turned on. As if they were reacting to me. I froze. My breath caught. Then the car slowly pulled away, without rushing, without hesitation, like it had finished whatever silent mission it was there for. I shut the blinds immediately. My brain raced all night. The next morning, I told my husband. He tried to stay rational, but I could see the worry in his eyes. He suggested installing security cameras, just to be safe. I agreed instantly. We ordered a set the same day. A few days later, the story took another twist. A woman from the Facebook group, the same one where multiple brides were speaking out, messaged me asking if we could talk privately. She said she used to work at the original venue. Not as a wedding planner, but behind the scenes, doing administrative work. She warned me that she couldn't share everything, because she'd signed a non-disclosure agreement, but she said she was willing to talk if I promised not to reveal her name. Her first line hit me like a punch. The niece wasn't supposed to get married there at all. Her aunt insisted. For reasons that had nothing to do with love or family loyalty. She explained that the niece's wedding wasn't just a family event, it was tied to some kind of financial deal. She didn't know the full details, but she had overheard arguments between the owner and a business partner about locking down the property, proving income, and securing assets before the audit. That phrase, before the audit, echoed in my head like an alarm bell. The woman said she believed the niece's wedding date had been chosen intentionally because it would allow the owner to document higher revenue for that month, potentially affecting legal or financial evaluations. And apparently giving the niece the best date, our date, helped paint a picture of high demand and profitable operations. Suddenly, everything clicked. The weird defensiveness. The threats. The secrecy. The mysterious cancellation. The desperate attempts to keep deposits. The niece's bizarre sense of entitlement. The owner's obsession with controlling the narrative. Even the random car outside our house didn't feel so random anymore. But the woman wasn't finished. Before ending the call, she said something that made my blood turn cold. "There's a reason the owner panicked when you fought back. Your cancellation messed up paperwork she needed. That's why she wanted to keep the deposit so badly. And that's why she's still watching you." You weren't supposed to question anything. I sat frozen after the call. My husband kept asking what was said, but it took me a few minutes to even form a sentence. When I finally told him everything, he went silent in a way I'd never seen before, not angry, not panicked, just calculating. Like he was trying to piece the puzzle together. We agreed not to tell anyone else. Not yet. We wanted to gather details, figure out what exactly we were dealing with. But the next twist didn't wait for us. It came knocking, literally. 3 days later, in the late afternoon, someone rang our doorbell. When I opened the door, no one was there. Just a small padded envelope lying on the mat. No name. No return address. Inside, there was a USB drive and a single sheet of paper that read, "You need to see this before she tries to make you disappear from the story." My hands shook as I called my husband to come home immediately. We didn't plug in the USB right away. We were too afraid it might be dangerous, malware, spyware, anything. But we knew someone had gone through effort to get it to us. And they wanted us to watch what was on it. Whatever was inside that USB, it was connected to the owner, to the niece, to our wedding date, and to whatever they had been trying so desperately to hide. And when we finally opened the files, we realized the story was far from over. It was just beginning. We stared at that USB drive for almost an hour before we finally decided to open it. Not because we were scared of what it might contain, though we were, but because we both knew that the moment we plugged it in, whatever illusion of normal life we'd been clinging to would shatter permanently. This wasn't just a wedding nightmare anymore. This was a secret someone risked something to share. My husband used an old laptop disconnected from Wi-Fi, just in case, and inserted the USB. For a moment nothing happened. Then a folder popped up with a single video file and 3 PDFs. The video was labeled simply 11_recording. The PDFs were named LedgerScan emails and backup_contract. We opened the video first. It was security footage. Grainy, time-stamped, taken from the corner camera of a hallway. I recognized the decor immediately. It was the original venue. The recording showed the owner pacing in her office, clearly agitated. She kept checking her watch, looking toward the door. Then suddenly, the niece burst into the room. Her voice wasn't clear, but her tone was unmistakable, angry, high-pitched, frantic. She slammed a stack of papers on the owner's desk. The owner snapped something back. The niece pointed toward the hallway, pacing like an impatient child. Then she shouted loud enough for the microphone to catch it. "You promised me that date! You said it was already booked, but you'd make them move." I already told people. I already planned everything. My stomach dropped. Hearing it from her mouth made everything real in a way screenshots never could. But it didn't stop there. The owner grabbed the papers, contracts, I realized, and hissed something through clenched teeth. The niece shouted again. "Then make them cancel. It's not my problem they think they have rights. Just take the deposit and tell them it's their mistake." The room went silent for a moment. The owner looked directly at the camera, like she somehow felt it staring back at her, then leaned in close to the niece and whispered something the microphone barely picked up. But we heard it. "If they push back, we'll handle them. Stop worrying." Handle them? The phrase crawled under my skin like ice. The video continued for another minute, papers shuffling, the niece storming out, the owner rubbing her temples, muttering, but the important part was already burned into our minds. Then we opened the PDFs. The first one, LedgerScan, contained financial documents, dozens of pages of messy, inconsistent numbers. Payments marked as received, without names. Deposits moved between accounts. Dates overwritten. Entire rows blacked out. Someone had scanned internal accounting files, files we were absolutely not supposed to see. The second file, emails, contained internal messages between the owner and what seemed to be her accountant. The messages were alarming. "We need to show revenue spikes before the audit. Don't refund anyone unless absolutely necessary. Use the niece's event to justify the adjusted figures. Block out the date and move existing clients if needed. No paper trail beyond this email chain." My husband stopped reading halfway through and just stared at the screen, his jaw slack in disbelief. The third file, backup_contract, nearly made my heart stop. It was our contract, with a digitally altered date. Someone had attempted to change the timestamp on our original agreement, making it look like we had booked the venue after the niece did. The signature fields were the same, but the date had been overwritten crudely, as if someone expected no one to look closely. Someone had tried to falsify our booking. Someone had planned this long before they ever called us with that scheduling conflict. When we finished reading, neither of us spoke for a long time. The weight of the truth pressed down on us like a physical force. Everything we suspected, everything we tried to dismiss as paranoia, suddenly clicked into place. But there was something even more chilling in all of this. Whoever gave us this USB had access to internal files, cameras, documents. Whoever they were deeply involved, or deeply trapped. And they were scared. That night I couldn't sleep. Every sound outside made me flinch. Every shadow felt too still. I kept thinking about the SUV. About the owner saying she would handle us. About someone warning us not to trust her. About the possibility that the niece, or the owner, had been watching us at our own wedding. Around 3 a.m, while I was lying awake staring at the ceiling, my phone buzzed. Not a message. Not an email. A calendar alert. A reminder I had never set. It simply read: Meeting Main Street Cafe, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Bring the USB. Come alone. My chest tightened. I checked my settings. No shared calendars. No synced accounts. No one else had access. Someone had entered that reminder manually. And whoever it was, they were expecting us. Except they didn't want us. They wanted one of us. Alone. The next day, my husband and I sat in silence at breakfast, both replaying the same thought. This had gone too far to ignore. Too far to pretend it was just wedding drama. We had something dangerous now. Something someone wanted back. And we had no idea who we were about to meet, or what they would do when we showed up. But one thing was certain. We had to go. Because the only thing more dangerous than knowing too much was knowing just enough to be a threat. And we were now very much a threat.